Welcome to another episode of Resilience Rising with Naturally Cinnamon.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Resilience Rising with myself, Naturally Cinnamon. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever day or whatever time it is that you are listening and or watching this podcast. Hello. What I would like for you to do, please, is to like it, love it, share it, leave a comment, rate it, whatever platform you're on right now, leave some feedback throughout. But the one thing I absolutely would like for you to do is please subscribe or follow based on whatever platform you're on. I greatly appreciate it. Now, I'm not going to prolong the time because some people have asked me to cover a particular topic and it's a little hefty, so I'm going to try to keep it as light as possible. But you asked for it. So here we go. I am Naturally Cinnamon, therapist, life coach, and founder and CEO of Jamila Wellness LLC, where women go to be well and live beautifully. And you may hear a couple pages turning from time to time because I do have some notes that I wrote down to make sure that I wanted to cover something so I didn't forget it as I was thinking about the topic of today's podcast. And also, I wanted to make sure that I told you about the Resilience Rising Facebook group for those of you who are on Facebook and would like to be part of the discussions leading up to the podcasts, like the one we had in our group and on other social media platforms, where I held a poll for 4 potential topics, and this particular topic led the pack. So that's what we're going to cover today. But one thing I am going to do, starting in the next podcast, which will be in March, I will be having at the end of it a kind of a confession type of segment to the podcast. So if it's something that you want to have confessed, and I will not use your name unless you specifically tell me to. If you have something that you want to add to the confession or be something you want to confess and you want me to maybe discuss it on the podcast, be sure to send it to me, DM it to me, message it to me, send it to the inbox, or you can text it to area code 786-475-2466, or you can email me at cinnamon@jamilawellness.org. Just send it in, get it to me, and we'll cover it. Not a problem. Otherwise, all you're going to hear is me confessing my little stuff, the stuff I don't mind you knowing, by the way. So anywho, today's topic, by voting and by far and away the most people have chosen this, is about changing mindset. Now let me tell you, I want to preface this and give my disclosure by saying, please recall, I am a therapist and I am a life coach. And I'm not a therapist because I decided I wanted to say that I'm a therapist because I have a lot of life experiences. I'm a therapist because I went to school, I studied this, I passed some courses, I took some tests, and I paid my tuition, and I graduated, and I've been working in this field for, how many years is it now? 11, for 11 years. So there's that. Also, I am not just a life coach because I say I'm a life coach, because I think I have certain experiences in life, because I went to the certification course, took the course, passed the course, and got my certification to also be a life coach. So sometimes some of the things that I try to say, I try to kind of keep it light because I do leave some stuff for my paying clients. But I will give you guys some stuff today. So let's just dive right in so that we don't prolong the time. So changing your mindset. I want to start by saying the first thing I'm going to say about changing our mindset is, if you are listening to this or if you are watching this on YouTube or on Facebook and you are thinking about how you can help someone else change their mindset, stop. You can just stop, because just stop. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your energy, and you can't make someone else change anything about themselves. It's not, you can't make somebody change anything about themselves. So if you're coming into this thinking of another person, then you know, you're already, it's futile. You can't do it. So just stop it. Just cut it out. You stop it. You stop it right now. If you're watching this, I am pointing at you. You stop it, and you stop it right now. Okay, so moving forward. As we're talking about changing our own mindsets, the first thing that we need to do is establish, let's all be on the same page. What is a mindset? Like, what is that? And there's different definitions, in different dictionaries. And even if you look up in a psychological dictionary or a positive psychology dictionary, there will even be there's probably be a whole chapter in a textbook about mindset. So we're going to keep it simple. And one of the definitions that I saw online that I liked was the established set of attitudes held by someone. So it's basically your mindset is your set of opinions towards different things, be it your set of opinions, that you've developed over life and over circumstances and over experience and even over things that you learned yourself and were taught and told, etc., make up your mindset, and your mindset then leads you into certain other thoughts and behaviors as well. So I know people personally that have negative mindsets, like they kind of gravitate towards the negative of anything, basically, because that's their mindset, and they may have to really practice getting out of that mindset or to think differently, but that's their predisposed and practiced and rehearsed thoughts and behaviors. That's kind of what it is. Another word you could use for it is your habits, your inclinations, what are you inclined to do? What are you inclined to think on a normal basis that's more likely to tell you what your mindset is? So that's in a nutshell how we can look at mindset and what it actually is. Now, changing that. Let's talk about changing before we even get into changing specifically your mindset. I will tell this to you, and you can Google it if you want to really, really read it. It's not a secret to all therapists, but there's something called the 5 stages of change. Okay. And I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be as brief as possible. The 5 stages of change. Stage number 1 is called pre-contemplation, which basically means I haven't even started to think about the change. I'm not even there yet. I haven't even started to think about it. I'm operating in a certain type of way, and this is the way I operate. And something may come along to introduce the potential of something different, and I'm in pre-contemplation stage because I haven't even thought of that. Some people may call that denial. It depends on the situation. It depends on the person. It depends on a lot of things, a lot of variables before you can actually just say, oh, they're in denial. It could possibly be that they just received some brand new information that they never had before or that they never thought they'd even need. So that's the pre-contemplation stage. It's basically the introduction of the potential for change. The contemplation stage is once that potential for change has been introduced, now we, me, you, that person, may have to really think about it. Now we're thinking about, maybe I need to really think about making that particular change, or maybe I need to read up a little bit more on it, or maybe I need to, educate myself more about what that change is, or how to even make that change. I don't know. Maybe I need to take a look at this. Maybe I need to take a look at that. The contemplation stage is when the wheels begin to turn in that particular direction of, maybe something different might be needed. The third stage of change after pre-contemplation and contemplation is preparation. And that's when you gather your research. That's when you really, learn what you need to learn and see, okay, what do I need to put into place? I like to also call it the planning stage, where you try to, you figure it out. What would I need to put into place so that I can start to make the steps towards this particular change? What do I need to know about what kind of change I'm about to make? That kind of thing. That's the preparation stage, and that's stage 3. Stage 4 is action. And that's basically exactly what it says, action, putting the plan into place. Now, I have been introduced to the potential for change. I have thought about making the change. I've decided, you know what? Yes, I want to try to make this change. I researched it. I put a plan in place, and now I am actually working the plan. I'm doing this. I'm in action phase. I am going out there, and instead of just saying that, I can put this plan together that I'm going to exercise 3 days a week, instead of saying that, I'm putting it in action. I've set my alarm. I've gotten up on time. I've put on my tennis shoes, and I've gone outside to take a walk around the block. That is actual action. And the fifth and final stage of change is maintenance, keeping it up, keeping that change. There's the thing that says that you have to do something for 21 days to make it a habit. Keeping it up, putting it in maintenance mode, keeping it running. Like when you get your car, when you go and do some maintenance on your cars, because you want it to keep running, you want it to keep going, you want it to keep cranking up and getting you from point A to point B and wherever else you need to go. Same thing with the maintenance phase of change. It's like, okay, I've done this, but if I stop it, then that's it. I'm done. I didn't do anything. I just did an activity. I didn't change anything. But maintaining means keeping it going, to facilitate the actual change, to put into practice this new behavior. Remember, we said a few minutes ago that mindset could be conceived as a practice or a rehearsed behavior. Well, if you want to change that, and you want to go through the stages of change, and you've done something different, in order to make sure that you put this new behavior into practice, you've got to keep putting it into practice. You've got to keep doing it and keep rehearsing it and keep it up. And that's the maintenance phase. So those are the 5 stages of change in a very, very brief nutshell. We talked about mindset, what it is, what we can consider it to be. We've talked about the 5 stages of change. Now let's talk about changing as in your mindset. Now listen. When I'm working with my clients, we can work on a lot of different things, but let's take some of my clients who are diagnosed with depression, for example. When they want to make a change in the way that they think, because if they're used to and have practiced and rehearsed thinking in depressive ways, or having memories or experiences that have affect the way that they think continue to come up, and we want to try to rehearse those things, we've got to put some tools into place. So I will give you just a few of what some of those tools may be. There's not a generic checklist to say, oh, if you want to change your mindset, do these 5 things and you'll be good. There's so many variables involved. There's your upbringing, your religious beliefs, your political beliefs, your socioeconomic status, your ethnic background, your cultural practices and traditions. There are very, very many different variables. Let's put it that way. So one tool I want to leave you with is actually for you to think about what you're thinking about. My mom tells me that all the time. And you know what? As a matter of fact, she's told me where she read it from. And I'm going to be very honest, I don't remember. I'm drawing a blank. I know she didn't make it up and I didn't make it up. It came from somewhere, and it probably has been repeated a few times over. But the concept is to think about what you're thinking about. And a lot of times in this fast-paced world, we move and we're going, and we got to get this done. Okay, we're off of that thing, we're on to the next thing. Okay, I'm done with that. Okay, now running over here to my next errand. Okay, I've got to do this. I'm multitasking. I'm, talking to my coworker while I'm texting my sister about something that has to happen, because I need to move that around, because after work now, my air conditioning broke and I have to meet the AC guy. I'm sorry. I was talking to my coworker. What was I saying? We were talking about something. What were we talking about? think about what it is that you're thinking about. We have fleeting thoughts sometimes. I know I do, where I have a thought, and I don't know if I'm the only one that's done this. Let me know. If you have done this as well, leave it in the comments. Let me know I'm not alone. How many times have you thought about something and it's like, oh, let me just either look that up or text that to somebody real quick, or let me da 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 da. And I pick up my phone and I see a message from somewhere, be it an email, a social media message, a text message, a voicemail message, a missed call, something. I'll pick up my phone and I'll clear that stuff off unless I see a text and I'm like, ooh, let me respond to this really quickly before I forget. And then I open up my browser on my phone and I'm like, what was I going to look up? I was going I was going to look up something. What was it? What was I looking up? What was I thinking about before I stopped to pick up the phone? What was it that I was thinking about that led me to this good idea that I needed to Google this? What? I don't remember. I don't remember. So I just turned my phone off and put it back down. What was I thinking about? I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking about. It's just that easy for a dark thought or a depressive thought or a sad thought or an unhealthy thought or any of those other thoughts to creep into our minds sometimes and affect us because we're not thinking about what is it that we're thinking about. So yeah, sometimes you got to stop thinking about that thought so you could think about, wait a minute, what is this? What is this thought I'm having? Where did that thought come from? Why did that thought come so easily? I don't want to think about that right now. Let's refocus. Let's think about something else. So think about what it is that you're thinking about. Uh, um, it, it helps. It does help. Here's another thing. Here's another tip or another tool. Watch your input. We have to watch our input because if the thoughts is what comes up, then something came in. It's kind of like planting a seed. So yeah, trees and fruit and vegetables and everything grow up out of the ground. Well, unless you're a root vegetable and you grow in. Okay, for all the technical people that are listening or watching, I get that. But for the most part, vegetables grow up when you plant the seed. Fruit, trees, flowers, whatever it may be, will grow up out of the ground once the seed is planted. So if thoughts come up, like those plants come up, what seed was planted? What went in? What was it that went into your mind or your spirit or what was it that entered in that is producing some of these thoughts, that is adding to your mindset? What are you watching on TV? What do you read? Go scroll down your timeline on social media and see what the common theme or common thread talk is about. Is it uplifting? Is it, dogging people all the time? Is it just negative commentary? Also, watch your conversations. Watch your conversations. What are you saying? What is being said to you? What's being spoken around you? What kind of conversations are we having? What kind of things are we reading? What kind of things are we listening to? Like, what's our input? What's our input? So that's another consideration to think about. So I'll leave you with those. Those are easy. Those are quick. Those are something to consider. Sorry, I have to keep cutting in and out. I'm dog sitting and he is desperate for my attention right now. So I'm going to try to wrap this up. Here's the thing about changing your mindset, or any type of change for that matter, but it's really, really hard with a mindset. That's kind of the reason a lot of people don't want to do it. And that wonderful yet horrible word is sacrifice. Sacrifice. You have to. The hardest part that most of my clients and even a few friends of mine have said is the hardest part of making a change to your mindset is releasing that which you already know or think or believe. And that could be formed from any type of, way. So let's say that you were given information about a certain person that you have not met and that you otherwise would not have known this piece of information about person B if person A didn't tell you. And that information has gotten you to look at person B in a certain light. And let's just for argument's sake say it's not so great. Let's say you don't look down on person B, you don't dislike person B, you're just not all that impressed with person B, but it's based on the input of the information, the things that you overheard and or read from person A. So that could possibly, feed into your impression of person B. And let's say over time, you start to learn that person B is not at all what you thought person B was. Person B is actually a very pleasant person. Person B is, not the nasty hearted person that person A tried to tell you they were. And so now you have to release your other thoughts that you had there first about person B and in order to embrace this new information that you got from person B about person B, and you got it from yourself. So, you information that you picked up for yourself and your experience and your interactions with person B. So that is a very easy explanation, but what if it's, a lot harder? What if it's more difficult? Let's say, okay, let's say I was talking to a coworker today about our views on, let's say this new craze. I'm calling it a craze, but and vegan is being a vegan. The vegan lifestyle is not a new thing. It's just caught on a lot more from, after different research studies and documentaries on how food is being processed and made and created and GMO and things of that nature. A lot of people have decided, I want to go back to being a little more healthy and having a lot more control over what goes into my body. And the vegan lifestyle has really, become a little more mainstream because people are paying a lot more attention. Well, in order to go from, I don't know, ordering pizza, having pizza Fridays. I grew up on pizza Fridays. Every 2 or 3 Fridays, my family would order pizza from Pizza Hut, and it was Pizza Friday. If we had a good week, if the kids were good in school, me and my brother were good in school, and we did our homework, and things were good, we'd have Pizza Fridays where my parents didn't have to figure out how they're, what are we gonna cook? Oh my gosh, we're tired. It's been a long week. Blah blah blah. We had Pizza Fridays. So imagine if I decide to raise my children vegan, I have to let go of my habit for Pizza Fridays, or I have to really put more thought into how are we going to make, maybe I have to make the pizza myself because I need to make sure we use this type of ingredients, make sure we try to avoid that type of food process and things of that nature. It's a change. It's a big deal, but I had to sacrifice the ease of Pizza Fridays, of just ordering it and having it delivered. That's a sacrifice that we have to make. That's getting out of the comfort zone. To make that change, we've got to release the comfort zone and make a sacrifice to get rid of, to move away from, or even alter the already practiced and rehearsed behavior that has made up our mindset and our thoughts that have made up our mindset. Thinking about what you're thinking about, that for me, it took a lot to think about. It took a lot of practice to say, okay, what thought am I having? Slow down, think it through. What am I focusing on right now? What am I trying to accomplish right now? What thought am I having right now? When I start to get into some of my depressive spells, I call them waves. I start to think about, okay, what led me here? What happened in my days leading up to today that may have triggered something that, and what is that thought? Okay, what can let me focus on that thought so that I can reframe that thought? I need to try to put that thought away. I want to sacrifice that thought on the altar of the depression gods and get it away from here so that I can replace it with a more positive thought to help me change my mindset right now. it's a shift, it's a change, it's practice. It's not easy, but we have to pay attention to our thoughts. What are we thinking about? We have to pay attention to our input. What am I listening to? What conversation am I in right now? What's on the TV right now? What's going on social media right now? Control our mindset. Sacrifice the thoughts you've already had. Put them on the altar of let it go. Put it on the altar of let it go and burn it up and sacrifice it to the mindset gods above. Like, get rid of it, especially if it's not serving you in a positive way. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. And that's actually one of the harder parts, is letting it go, because we've had it for so long. We've dealt with it for so long. We've operated in it for so long. We know how to do that. It's when I say, okay, that I know how to do. I don't have to think about that because I know how to do that because I've been doing it for so long. Well, if it's something that needs to be changed, if it's something that you have decided that you need to change it or want to change it, then you may have to let go of it as a whole or even pieces of it, depending on what that it is. So those are my tidbits as far as changing a mindset. We've talked about what a mindset is. We've talked about what the stages of change are, and we have talked about I've given you a couple of tips on things to think about as you're trying to change your mindset. And remember, you can't change the mindset of someone else. That is not, if that's what your comfort zone is, trying to control the thoughts of others because it makes your life a little bit easier, then you really do need to reach out to me and we need to talk. We really need to talk, because there's something else going on there and trust me, been there, done that. And I have to think about what I'm thinking about in case I run back into that mindset of, let me talk to this person to see if I can get them to see things my way. Well, you know what? Having someone understand you is a good thing, but trying to change them so that they think like you, so that you can feel better, that's me trying to change their mindset. And that's not something that can be done. That's not something that can happen. We do not have the power to change another person's mind. We can feed them information, but they decide when they want to change their mind, if they want to change their mind. Okay, so there's that. I realized that I said something before. I started saying something before and I didn't give you the website. So shame on me. I'm about to give you the website now. If you'd like to join the Facebook group where we have, the discussions and talk about the next topics, you can find it at bit.ly, bit.ly / capital RES, capital RISE, capital GROUP. That's the Rise group. Capital R, lowercase es, capital R, lowercase ise, and capital G, lowercase ROUP. Okay, Rise group. You can also find me at podcast.naturallycinnamon.com. If you want to find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the handle is at naturallysinn, naturally CINN, and you can find me there. I'm on Periscope too, but you know what? I don't use it that much, so whether you want to follow me or not, that's, up to you. Anyway, I will catch you next week, and remember, in the next ones, we're going to start doing confessionals. So send me in your confessions, and we'll broadcast them on air. I will not say your name unless you specifically tell me to. Then I will say your name, depending on the confession, because then, if it's a little bit too much of your personal information, I'm probably still not going to use your name. So thank you for joining me. I do appreciate your time with me. I hope I was helpful to those who asked me specifically to cover changing your mindset as a topic. And if you'd like to, you can always reach out to me, cinnamon@jamilawellness.org. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Resilience Rising with Naturally Cinnamon. Life has a way of tossing unexpected trials and circumstances our way. We can't stop them, but we can better handle them by raising our resilience. Creative Director Jeremy Key for J Key Collective. Music by AJ Miles.